Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. This time, we're diving into something that might sound a little intimidating at first, the world of finance.
Yeah, you sent in some materials wanting to understand one of those fundamental concepts, the time value of money. It might seem like something only Wall Street gurus need to worry about, but trust me, it's relevant to everyone, especially if you're new to thinking about money in this way.
You're absolutely right. At its core, the time value of money just means that money you have today is worth more than the same amount in the future. It's all about the potential for that money to grow over time.
Okay, that makes sense. But why is money today more valuable than the same amount later? Well, there are three main reasons: opportunity cost, inflation, and uncertainty. Let's start with opportunity cost. Imagine you find $100 today. Score. You could spend it now on a fancy dinner or maybe a new pair of shoes. But you could also invest that $100. By investing it, you're giving it the chance to grow into, say, $110 or more over time. The opportunity cost is that fancy dinner you missed out on, but hey, you could be able to afford an even fancier dinner later.
So it's not just about the amount of money itself, but also about the potential for that money to increase in value over time.
Exactly. It's like planting a seed. If you plant it today, it has the potential to grow into a big tree that gives you fruit or, in this case, more money in the future.
Got it. So what about inflation? I've heard that word thrown around, but I'm not sure I fully understand it.
Think about it this way. Remember when you were a kid, how much did a candy bar cost? Probably a lot less than it does now, right? That's inflation at work. Over time, things generally get more expensive. So even if you have the same amount of money in the future, you might not be able to buy as much with it as you could today. Your money's purchasing power decreases.
That makes sense. So with inflation, my money's actually losing value over time if it just sits there.
You got it. And then there's the element of uncertainty. Let's say someone promises to give you $50 next week. Sounds great, right? But is it guaranteed? Maybe they forget, maybe something comes up, or maybe they just decide not to give it to you. There's always a bit of risk involved with money you haven't received yet. That future money isn't quite as solid as the money you have in your hand right now.
Okay. I'm starting to see how opportunity cost, inflation, and uncertainty all play into why money today is worth more than money tomorrow. But how do we actually use this concept to make smarter decisions about our finances? It still feels a bit abstract.
That's where some key calculations come in. Future value, and net present value. Don't worry, we won't be throwing complex formulas at you. The material you sent over has those, but we'll focus on what these concepts mean and how they can help you in everyday life.
Awesome. Let's start with future value, or FV as I've seen it abbreviated. What's the deal with that one?
Future value helps us figure out how much an investment will be worth in the future. For example, one of the activities you sent in talked about investing $5,000 at a 6% interest rate for 5 years. We don't need to calculate the exact number here, but the point is that thanks to the power of compounding, that $5,000 will have grown into a larger amount after those 5 years.
Okay, hold on. Compounding. That sounds like something I should know. What exactly does that mean?
It's actually pretty cool. Compounding means that you earn interest not just on your initial investment, but also on the interest you've already earned. It's like a snowball rolling downhill, getting bigger and bigger as it picks up more snow. Your money grows faster over time because the interest is building upon itself.
Wow, that's a powerful image. So with compounding, even if I start with a small investment, it can really grow significantly over time.
Absolutely. It's one of the keys to building long-term wealth.
This is already making me think differently about my savings goals.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got future value down. What about this present value thing, or PV? It sounds like the opposite of future value.
You're on the right track. Present value asks the question, how much is a future sum of money worth to me today? Another activity you sent in had a scenario where someone promises you $10,000 in 8 years. Present value helps you figure out how much that promise is actually worth right now.
So that $10,000 in 8 years isn't worth $10,000 today because of the time value of money we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. You're a natural at this. That $10,000 in the future is worth less today because, in theory, you could invest a smaller amount today and have it grow to $10,000 in 8 years.
I'm starting to feel like I'm getting the hang of this.
Yeah.
We've covered future value and present value, so what's left? What's net present value all about?
Net present value, or NPV, is like the ultimate decision-making tool when it comes to investments. It helps you figure out if an investment is actually a good idea.
Okay, I'm all ears. How does it do that?
It basically compares the present value of the money you'll make from an investment to the present value of the money you spend on that investment. Think of it like this. You invest $100 today to set up a lemonade stand. You expect to make $150 over the summer selling lemonade.
That sounds like a sweet deal.
Maybe, maybe not. NPV helps us figure that out. It takes into account things like the opportunity cost of that $100 and the fact that you might not actually sell as much lemonade as you expect. It tells us if that $150 in the future is worth more than the $100 you're investing today.
So it's not just about making a profit, it's about making sure the profit is worth more than what I put in initially, considering all those factors like opportunity cost and risk. That's a really valuable way to think about investments.
Exactly. NPV helps you make a more informed decision by taking the time value of money into account.
This is making me realize that I uh, might not have been making the most informed financial decisions in the past. Thinking about the time value of money really changes things.
It's a game changer for sure. Once you start seeing the world through this lens, it's hard to go back.
So let's say I'm starting to think about investing. How can I actually use these concepts, FV, PV, NPV, to make smarter choices?
Well, let's take the activities you sent in as examples. One of them, Activity 3, presents you with a classic dilemma. Would you rather have $12,000 in 10 years at a 4% interest rate or $15,000 in 12 years at a 3% interest rate? It's tempting to just go for the bigger amount, right?
Yeah, $15,000 sounds a lot better than $12,000 on the surface.
Exactly, but remember, time is money. Present value helps us compare those two options by figuring out what they're actually worth in today's dollars. It might turn out that the $12,000 in 10 years is actually a better deal because of the different interest rate and the shorter time frame.
That's so helpful. It's like having a secret decoder ring for the financial world.
Okay, what about the other activities? I'm ready to put on my financial detective hat.
All right, let's crack open Activity 4. This one throws a bit of a curveball. Imagine you have a specific financial goal in mind. Let's say you want to invest $8,000 today, and you're determined to have it grow to $12,000 in 6 years. Activity 4 is all about figuring out what interest rate you need to make that happen.
Interesting. So it's like working backward from your goal.
Precisely. By rearranging the future value formula, we can figure out the necessary interest rate to reach your target. It's like setting your GPS to your destination and then calculating how fast you need to drive to get there on time.
Okay, that's a great analogy. It's all starting to click for me. What about the last activity, Activity 5? What does that one highlight?
Activity 5 really drives home the magic of compounding that we were talking about earlier. It asks you to imagine investing $2,500 at a 7% interest rate. Then it shows you how much that investment would grow over different time periods, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. I bet the difference between those time frames is pretty significant, especially with compounding in the mix.
You bet it is. The longer you let your money grow, the more dramatic the results become thanks to that snowball effect. Even small, consistent investments can add up to big gains over time. It's a testament to the power of patience and long-term thinking.
It's like that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Exactly. Every day you wait is a missed opportunity for your money to grow.
You've given me so much to think about. I feel like I'm starting to speak a whole new language to the language of finance. But in all seriousness, I never realized how important these concepts are, even for everyday decisions.
They're truly foundational. Understanding the time value of money empowers you to make smarter choices about saving, spending, and investing. It's about taking control of your financial future.
I couldn't agree more. So for our listeners out there who are just starting their financial journeys, what's the one key takeaway you would want them to remember from this deep dive?
I'd say the most important thing is to recognize that time is literally money. The sooner you start thinking about the time value of money, the sooner you can start making it work for you. Whether you're saving for a down payment on a house, planning for retirement, or even just deciding whether to buy that new phone today or wait for a sale, these concepts can help you make more informed decisions.
It's like you're giving them the keys to unlock their financial potential. I love it.
That's the goal. We want everyone to feel confident and empowered when it comes to their finances.
It's been eye-opening for me, that's for sure. Before we wrap up, I wanted to go back to that point about the magic of compounding. Activity 5 really got me thinking. It showed how a small amount invested consistently over a long period can grow significantly thanks to compounding. It's almost like a secret weapon for building wealth, right?
Absolutely. And it's a secret weapon that's available to everyone. You don't need to be a Wall Street tycoon to harness its power.
So if our listeners just starting out may be feeling a little overwhelmed by the whole world of finance, what would you say to encourage them to take that first step?
I'd say start small and start today. Even if it's just a few dollars a week, set up a system to invest consistently. Think of it like planting those seeds. The earlier you plant them, the more time they have to grow. And thanks to compounding, those small seeds can blossom into something truly amazing over time.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about making huge, drastic changes overnight. It's about creating sustainable habits that will benefit you in the long run.
Exactly. It's about making those small, consistent choices that compound over time, just like the interest on your investments.
I love that. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope our listener feels empowered to start thinking about their finances in a new light. We've explored the time value of money, delved into those key calculations like future value, present value, and net present value, and even uncovered the magic of compounding. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to put these concepts into practice in my own life.
Me too. It's always exciting to see how these ideas can make a real difference in people's lives.
So for our listener out there, thank you so much for sending in your questions and inspiring this deep dive into the fascinating world of finance. Remember, even small steps taken today can lead to significant gains in the future.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those financial seeds growing.
And as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. It's been eye-opening for me, that's for sure. Before we wrap up, I want to go back to that point about the magic of compounding. Activity 5 really got me thinking. It showed how a small amount invested consistently over a long period can grow significantly thanks to compounding. It's almost like a secret weapon for building wealth, right?
Absolutely, and it's a secret weapon that's available to everyone. You don't need to be a Wall Street tycoon to harness its power.
So if our listener is just starting out, maybe feeling a little overwhelmed by the whole world of finance,
Right.
what would you say to encourage them to take that first step?
I'd say start small and start today. Even if it's just a few dollars a week, set up a system to invest consistently. Think of it like planting those seeds. The earlier you plant them, the more time they have to grow. And thanks to compounding, those small seeds can blossom into something truly amazing over time.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about making huge, drastic changes overnight. It's about creating sustainable habits that will benefit you in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. It's about making those small, consistent choices that compound over time, just like the interest on your investments.
I love that. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope our listeners feel empowered to start thinking about their finances in a new light. We've explored the time value of money, delved into those key calculations like future value, present value, and net present value, and even uncovered the magic of compounding. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm excited to put these concepts into practice in my own life.
Me too. It's always exciting to see how these ideas can make a real difference in people's lives.
So for our listener out there, thank you so much for sending in your questions and inspiring this deep dive into the fascinating world of finance. Remember, even small steps taken today can lead to significant gains in the future.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those financial seeds growing.
And as always, thanks for joining us on the deep dive.